Three keywords for today: Istinja, istibra, and najasa. Istinja. So you guys should know this already. Some of it will be, or most of it I hope will be just a recap, and some of it will be new. Istinja. Okay, istinja. What does that mean? First? No.
Is that how to clean yourself?
Yes. Cleaning yourself after using the toilet. So everyone write this down. Okay, istinja, cleaning yourself after using the toilet. Everyone written that down? Okay, what does najasa mean?
Impurity.
Impurity, which is obvious. Everyone should have known that. Okay, so this is your keywords list for this lesson. So we all need to understand this, all these words and the process of them. Yes.
Is najasa plural for najasat?
No, this is a singular. Najasat is plural. Okay, what's najasa first of all? What's najasa?
Impurities.
It's like waste,
Okay. Yeah. What else?
alcohol.
Yeah. So those things which are intrinsically impure, which are very filthy, and Islam has ordered us to refrain from these things. So if we have any of these things on our body, whether it's excretion or urine or alcohol or it's flowing blood, we have to, it's fard and it's obligatory, mandatory for us to clean ourselves from this. Yes. And yes, a pig is intrinsically impure. So if we touch a pig, we have to wash ourselves.
So during the time that the impurity is on you, will you get sin, or if you have the intention to cleanse yourself, then so what's the ruling?
Okay, wearing clothes which have impurity on it, for example, is just to wear just around the house. It's makruh tanzihi. It's disliked.
I thought you said it's mandatory to.
Okay, so now what that means is now it's time for salah. If I have these impurities on my body and clothes, will my salah be accepted?
No.
No. So if a person's general attitude is I don't really care about urine and cleaning myself, all these things. Okay, the whole of person's ibadat and worship is that thingy fault here now, isn't it? So it's all about that mindset of making sure that we clean ourselves every time we have impurities on our clothes or bodies, and making sure we don't get impurities in our clothes. Yeah.
So therefore, so it's not mandatory to just have an impurity while you're just about the house. And
yeah, technically it's not, but obviously it's not good. It's makruh.
yeah, it's a high level of makruh.
It's not makruh tahrimi. It wouldn't be sinful.
Yeah, it's the next.
Yeah, it's one lower down.
Yeah.
Okay, so all these things which are impure in Islam they're called najasul ayn, intrinsically impure. So that's the alcohol, that's urine excretion, that's pig. What else?
What would you say?
Blood.
So one out everyone just shouted.
What would you say is like alcohol?
Alcohol najasul ayn. So just like urine.
No, as in like, what would you define as alcohol? As in like, because you've got cleansing alcohol.
Okay, that's a good question. Alcohol is that which is fermented from grapes and dates. That is the alcohol which is najasul ayn. Which is made
So
from grapes
chemical
and dates.
alcohol, so good for
Depends. If it intoxicates, obviously it's not fine. But in terms of going in, yeah, so it's slightly different.
Alcohol dinner. That's the things used in like hand.
Yeah, so that alcohol, chemical alcohol, which is in like soaps and face creams and things like that, that's fine because it's a small quantity, so it's not going to get you drunk either, and neither is it the actual alcohol made from grapes and dates. Does that answer your question? Yeah.
Blood from haram animals.
Yeah, so blood from anywhere actually, flowing blood, from us, from animals.
Oh, I thought like blood from halal animals is okay, like a chicken.
No, it's still impure.
Oh.
Okay, let's go through this. Now, Islam tells us to be clean. There's a hadith. Actually, let's start with the Quran verse. Allah says in the Quran, so you don't have to write this down. I'm just going to quickly go through this. So so you understand what Islam teaches about cleanliness. So Allah says in the Quran, إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ التَّوَّابِينَ وَيُحِبُّ الْمُتَطَهِّرِينَ in Surah Al-Baqarah.
yeah.
Allah loves those people that are always turning to Him in repentance, and Allah loves those people that purify themselves and clean themselves. So Allah is saying those people that keep clean, Allah actually loves these people for doing what? For being clean. In another verse Allah says, فِيهِ رِجَالُ يُحِبُّونَ أَن يَتَطَهَّرُوا وَاللَّهُ يُحِبُّ الْمُطَّهِّرِينَ. That in it, there's those, this is referring to a group of people that when they used to use the toilet, they used to use tissue and water to clean themselves. And Allah actually revealed a whole verse of the Quran regarding these people to show how important that is in Islam. That's what Allah says, in it are men who love to purify themselves, and Allah loves those who purify themselves. Another hadith, the Prophet said, At-tuhuru shatrul iman. This I want you to write down. At-tuhuru shatrul iman. You can write it in English.
Cleanliness is half of iman.
Yeah. So I want you to write the Prophet Muhammad said, cleanliness is half of faith. Because this is, and I want you guys to remember this one. Okay, so now we've understood that Allah has emphasized purity and the Prophet Muhammad has emphasized purity. So now how important is it to keep clean from urine? That's our next question. How important is it? What does the Prophet Muhammad have, what has he told us about this? So now we're going to go through just very quickly, we're going to glance for a few hadith, his statements regarding urine. Does anyone know any?
So he passes the 2 graves.
One hadith mentioned in Ibn Majah, the Prophet said that أكثر عذاب القبر من البول, that most of the punishment in the grave is because of being careless in matters related to urine. Imagine that. Most of the punishment in the grave, I want you to write this down. Most of the punishment in the grave is because of being careless in matters related to urine. Okay, so imagine the punishment of the grave. It's not something which is, easy and light. If someone's being punished in the grave, it's going to be something extremely, And there's a hadith as well that if the people could hear the punishment of the grave, they'd refuse to bury their dead. So the grave isn't such a light place if a person's been bad, obviously, not for the good people.
Yeah.
So the Prophet is saying most of the people that have been punished is why? Just because of urine. They didn't clean themselves when going to the toilet or when coming out of the toilet. Just because of carelessness, basically. Another hadith, but you don't have to write this down. That Mu'adh ibn Jabal radiallahu anhu narrates that the Prophet ﷺ would safeguard himself from urine and would order his companions to do the same. Okay, which is obvious. The Prophet ﷺ used to make sure no urine went on the clothes of the body and order his companions to do the same.
What does it mean by safeguard himself? Just be careful that nothing goes on him.
Yeah, let me just finish this. No, you don't have to write this. Then Mu'adh radiallahu anhu said, the punishment of the grave is generally due to being careless in the matters of urine. It's another statement from another companion. Same thing. And in another hadith, someone asked the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, what is the reason why people are punished in the grave? The only response he gave to that person was because of carelessness in urine. So imagine the extent of people that are going to be punished in the grave just because they're not taking care of urine. So it's not something which is very light in Islam. Today, if you ask many students, they've never heard of Istinja or istibra, or why is it so necessary? But look how much emphasis the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is giving to it. And the only thing he's actually said to that person is because of urine. That's why people are being punished. Now imagine how much emphasis we normally give, but how much emphasis Islam is giving to it. What we've understood through this hadith. Okay, so now we're going to go on to Istinja. So now, there are a few things here. Istinja means to clean yourself, isn't it, after using the toilet. Now, how do we clean ourselves? How do we make sure when we use the toilet that no urine goes in our clothes or body?
For example, to make... It's going to be impure if it's over 50, but if it's like 10p, it doesn't count.
10p is bigger than 50p.
Is that what you're going to say?
Wait, it was something else.
It's not the financial. It's not like, if it's 25p, it's 50 pounds, don't worry.
Is that what you're going to say?
They should wait a prolonged time after the initial urine has come out, so every last drop comes out.
That's istibra.
I know.
Okay, but even before... Okay, istinja means to obviously clean your private parts after using the toilet. So we're going to talk about urinating first. because this is the one generally is neglected. Normally the other one is done. Yes.
You must sit down, not stand up.
Okay, so first it starts by sitting down and urinating. I'm guessing, but half or most of children and teenagers urinate standing up, and that's because it's a habit from childhood, and they're just used to urinating standing up. Number one, because it's a lot quicker, and you just go in and out.
Muslim children.
Yeah, I'm talking about Muslim children. Number one, because you just quickly go in and out, and that's it. 75% of the urine goes in the toilet, and the other 25% goes in your pants, because you just quickly go in and out. So it just becomes a habit, and because we just want to get out and do whatever we're doing as quickly as possible, that's why we don't really care about it. Yes.
Could you tell me how even though we're not supposed to stand up when going to the toilet, if the situation that you're in is cleaner to stand up than to sit down, it's supposed to stand up?
Okay, so that's an exemption to the rule, but we'll come to that. So the Prophet ﷺ, he always used to urinate sitting down, and he ordered his companions to urinate sitting down, because if a person urinates standing up, what will happen to the urine? Does it just stay in the toilet? No. Okay, where's it gonna fall?
In the guy's pants.
Can you ask a question?
Okay, if a person urinates standing up, obviously most of it will go inside the toilet. Now, where else is the urine gonna fall?
On your
On your clothes. On your clothes.
If
Where
the
else?
speed of the urine is not fast enough, it'll go down onto the clothes.
That's what I just said.
Okay, so
You know what I mean?
Okay, so when a person urinates, what happens? It goes onto the clothes. So it goes into the toilet, and then it just splashes. Number one, it splashes back onto your clothes. Number two, it splashes back onto your toilet seat. And number three, it splashes onto the floor. That's another possibility as well. 3 places. And what happens is, every time, let's say you urinate, let's say you urinate 4 times a day, and urinate standing up. So 4 times a day, you're getting urine in your clothes, it's going in the toilet seat, and it's going on the floor as well. And then next day, let's say you're wearing the same clothes, more of it's going to go in your clothes, more of it's going to go in the toilet seat, and the bathroom. So the bathroom starts smelling, and then your clothes start smelling. And because you're used to the smell of urine, you can't really smell it anymore. It's like, when you go to a person's house, and there's a bad smell there. So you'll be able to tell straight away, there's a funny smell here. But the person living inside the house, would they be able to tell?
No.
No, because they're used to that smell, they're smelling it every single day.
Yeah.
But because it's new to you, you'll be able to smell it. So now, because you have urine in your clothes all the time, you won't be able to smell it. But the person comes and sits next to you for about 2-3 minutes, he'll be able to smell that urine. Because we get used to, if a person does that, they get used to it. Were you going to say something?
So if you're passing stools, what if the stool hits the toilet water and it bounces back up and
It's about the toilet water splashing back up.
Okay, that's going on to the other one. But what you do there is, number one, you flush the toilet. So,
wouldn't you clean yourself then flush it?
No, what you do is flush the toilet first and let the clean water be there. And what you do, you take new water and just try to wash yourself as much as possible. Wherever and just pour new water on it.
Yeah.
So then that water goes into the fresh water that's coming. That's what you'll have to do. Okay, so going back to the urine. So number one, we start off with, let's put that down. So number one, we start off with urinating sitting down. Now then number two, first we urinate, and then after we've finished, what do?
We wait for a prolonged amount of time for the last remaining drops to come out.
Before that,
it's like a sewage drain.
You got sewage drain?
No, I was thinking.
Okay,
the time of
okay, stop there. Okay, so I'm just going to interrupt you. First, because we need to quickly go through this. First, what we do is we clean ourselves with a tissue. Yeah, clean ourselves with a tissue. Because if you don't clean yourself with a tissue, then more drops are going to come out, isn't it?
Use water first.
You can
dry yourself with the tissue.
You can do, but because more drops are going to come out later, you'd rather just use the water afterwards,
Yes,
all in one go. So first, what you do is you clean yourself with the tissue, and make sure it's dry. So now you know that the most of the urine has come out now, and too much urine isn't going to come out anymore. This is what we call Istinja. Okay, so that's the first part of Istinja. Then we move on to istibra. And then what's istibra?
To make sure every single drop comes out with confidence.
Yes. Now we move on to istibra. What happens is after we urinate and we finish urinating, our bowel it loosens. Then tiny drops of urine
That's what I meant.
start to come out. Tiny drops of urine start to come out. And they're so small that you won't even notice it. And majority of the time, if you don't know about istibra, these tiny drops of urine will go in your clothes. Yes.
That's what I meant when I was taking like a...
Okay, it's fine.
Sewage.
I still don't get it.
Me too.
Because it's slow. You wait and wait and wait.
Okay, Zarif, it's okay. You can tell us about the sewage later on. Okay, let me just give you an example. It's not exactly the same, but you can understand it a bit better. Use an example. What was I going to use? Let's use this. Okay, I'm just going to draw a bad tap.
Your fans are going to complain about your lighting change.
Fans.
Just preemptive.
Okay, I'm
innit?
done.
Wait, touching me.
Okay. Okay, so this is a tap. Okay, now let's say you turn the taps on and the water's running. Okay, and then when you turn the taps off, so you turn the taps off, arrows, and then you turn the taps off. Does the water finish immediately?
No, it doesn't. It goes drop by drop, slowly,
Yeah.
eventually.
So now imagine you're urinating and you finish urinating. What happens after time?
The water that's still in the tap will
Yeah.
slowly.
The water that's still in that system will slowly start to build up.
That's what I meant by the sewage drain.
With a tiny bit of water. I have no idea what you're talking about sewage drain.
No. I remember when you came to our house, you were talking about a little tap in the sewage or something.
No, it's talking about a tap.
Oh.
Why would you have a tap in the
Still.
still?
That was what I was.
Wash my
That's
hands
what I
like
meant.
fresh sewage.
Okay. Okay. So there'll be tiny bits of water inside. And what happens, give it a few minutes, sometimes most of it comes out straight away. But after a minute or two, all these tiny bits of water which are still inside the system, it builds up, and 1, 2, 3, 4 drops come out. And that's it, it's finished. Now no more drops are going to come out. So similarly when we urinate, first all the urine comes out. And then afterwards when our bowel loosens, then that urine which is still in the system, a tiny bit, slowly comes down the pipe. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drops come out. Okay? So istibra is to wait for these drops to come out and make sure they don't go in your clothes, they go on a tissue. Does that make sense? That's what istibra is. And it's mandatory, it's obligatory for every person to do istibra. Because if you don't do istibra, then every day clothes are going to go in your... So urine is going to go in your clothes. Not clothes are going to go in urine. Urine is going to go in your clothes. And when it builds up, your salah will not be accepted.
Or your ibadat.
Yeah. So this is what istibra is. Okay, now it comes, every single person is different when it comes to istibra. Some people...
Oh, you didn't tell me this. Some people have to like walk around.
Now every person, it differs how long it takes them to do istibra, depending on your age and your health as well. So some people take them 2-3 minutes, 5 minutes, up to 20 minutes. Some people can take 20 minutes. And I've had people come up to me, I've taught them about istibra, like people that had no idea what istibra was. When I told them that you have to wait for the last drops of urine to come out, they didn't even believe me. They said, no, it's not true. No more urines come out. Afterwards, 1 second, I'll take your hand in a minute. So then they came to me and I taught them istibra, and then they said, no, I don't believe you. No urine comes out. And I said, okay, don't believe me. Just wait. Next time you go to the toilet, just check. 2-3 minutes later, just check if any urine comes out. And then next time I saw that person, they came to me, oh, by the way, I done what you told me, and you're right, urine does come out. And then they came and told me the next time I saw them, they said it takes them 10 minutes to do istibra. 10 minutes. They noticed that after 10 minutes, there's still 1 or 2 drops coming out. And then they realized, okay, I need to do qada of all these salahs that I prayed. Because I don't know if they've been accepted or not.
All of them.
Yeah, that's what they decided to do qada of all of them. Because they're not sure how many they've done, how many would have done.
Yeah, but that would have been years and years and years.
Yeah,
and
of course. If your salah hasn't been accepted, you have to do qada. It's a debt that we owe to Allah, isn't it?
Really?
Yeah.
How would you do that then?
Okay, we're not going to go into
Like
qada salah discussion. We'll do that in
24/7.
another lesson. So Yasin, what are you going to ask?
Oh yeah, I must see. Like sometimes people actually do like press ups like that, and like sit ups to just get those final drops.
Okay. Yeah, then we're going to come to that
Isn't
now.
that why people use those Bengali toilets?
No, that's just better to use anyway for cleanliness and for relieving yourself. It's not for istibra, but it's just better toilets anyway. Okay, so now it comes to how do we get those last drops out very quickly? Number one. Okay, before I actually come to that, number one, it's necessary for every person that they know how long it takes for them to do istibra. So you have to know whether it takes you 3 minutes, whether it takes you 5 minutes, whether it takes you 2 minutes or 20 minutes. You have to know. And you only know that by checking and trying it out. So you have to go to the toilet, check 3 minutes later, check 4 minutes later, check 5 minutes later. And then once you realize, okay, after 3 minutes all my drops are gone, then that's it. It takes you around 3 minutes. Does that make sense? Is that if you're concentrating? That's what you have to find out first. And number two is how do we get those drops out, like you guys have been saying. Some people they do press ups, some people do star jumps in the toilet, some people they cough, some people they walk around, some people they run around. People do all sorts of stuff. Yeah.
Didn't you say for some like people who take like 20, 30 minutes plus, what they do is they put like tissue?
Yeah. So what you can do is in your underwear, you put tissue there and you wrap it a bit so it stays in its place, and then you walk around. Let's say you are halfway through your Call of Duty game and
Why Call of Duty? Why don't you do Fortnite?
Okay, Fortnite.
That's the young Call of Duty, remember?
Okay. So let's say you.
Kung Fu Panda.
Okay. So let's say Zara's playing his Kung Fu Panda.
Hey.
It's on break. So you quickly run to the toilet, he urinates, you can put tissue there and then come back to your game.
Yeah, actually.
Okay, and then for 10-20 minutes later when it's break time again, quickly go to the toilet, wipe yourself, and then use water to clean the urine, whatever was there, and then that's your Istinja and istibra done. That's what you can do. So you make like a timetable. Or if it only takes you 2-3 minutes, then you don't have to go and do something else. You can just walk around something. Okay, so that's that. Now there's one very...
Look, this sounds weird, right? But you know how you like walk around, right? How would you catch those drops?
You just put tissue there.
Oh,
and
you
then
do
and
the
it
tissue
comes
thing.
out.
Okay,
Just
yeah.
fall on a tissue. Okay, and another thing is, okay, I'm going to use the board. Okay, one very important, a very beneficial way to help you do istibra to get the last drops out is, okay, imagine this over here is the, okay, this is going to be a bit visual and a bit graphical here, so you have to be a bit, control yourself, yeah? Okay. Yeah, see. Okay, so imagine this is the stick. Okay, over here is...
You're not making it even better, are you?
Okay, is one egg, and there's an egg over here. Yeah? So what you do is you put your 2 fingers over here. This is at the bottom, yeah? So not the top, this is at the bottom. So what you do, you put your 2 fingers and just press it. Do it once, twice, and 3 times. So imagine this is the middle finger, so this is a stick. So you do put your 2 fingers in the middle, you just press it like this.
So you're like squeezing the drops out.
Yeah, and that's very beneficial, getting the last drops out. So that's one method everyone can use in order to get the drops out a lot quicker. So you do that first, then you walk around for 2-3 minutes, then you come back, and then you squeeze, just do that method again, and then generally you should get rid of all your drops. And then use water, and then you go back to playing Kung Fu Panda.
Why is that stick?
It's not confident.
Why is that egg so far to the right?
Fortnite.
Sorry?
Why is that egg so far to the right?
I don't know.
Wait, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Like,
Can we to reset now?
Okay, women don't need to do Istinja. It just takes them 20-30 seconds. All the drops come out quickly, and then they don't need to do it. Okay, last thing we're going to cover is now... Okay, so we've done Istinja, we've done istibra. Yes.
Are we doing Nasr though?
Yeah, oh yeah. Yes, we will. In 5 minutes we're finished. We'll do Asr. Okay, one more thing. Jazakallah for reminding me, and well done. Last thing is najasa. So we said, we listed a few impurities, didn't we? So we said excretion. Is that the right word for it? Excretion?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so you call human excretion
No,
as
we
well.
call it fecal matter, but you know.
Fecal matter.
Yes, that's what they use. That's the word.
Butter.
That's the scientific
You know
word.
defecation.
Some guy who doesn't
I call it defecation.
No,
Okay, that's fine.
it's actually called fecal. Like the actual thing is called fecal matter.
Like your
So I
fecal
don't-
matter.
Crucial.
I remember like...
Who just
guys-
called me fecal matter? That's just not nice.
Guys, come down.
Exactly.
Okay, so I remember in the olden books they call it stool. So I don't know if it's still used as stool
What,
today.
the Tassilo thick books?
Yeah,
I
they
remember
call it
that.
stool.
Yeah,
Okay, so if you
stool
call it
used.
fecal matter excretion, whatever
Yeah, I
it's
think
called,
we
yeah?
just call it stool.
Okay, so... Excrucian? It's a new one.
Sewer pipe.
So
Did you find that sewer pipe?
Extinction.
okay.
It's an extinction.
Okay, it's not called extinction.
The dinosaurs have become extinct.
Oh, that dinosaur's doing get extinct.
Is that how the dinosaurs left this planet? You don't
Yeah, I
poo in the
think
toilet. Okay, guys. Okay, guys. Okay, calm down now. Okay, we're going back to the lesson.
I blame Yasin.
Okay, so number one, stool. It's najasa. Then urine. There's alcohol. There's and there's dog saliva. So
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it?
so all these are impurities.
I remember, what's the one on birds? Like,
Why is dog
Okay,
saliva?
it doesn't matter. I'm just giving these as an example because it's an impure animal.
no,
And likewise,
How
any
is it?
predator animals. So even lion saliva would be the same
because
thing.
oh, you know, casual lion survival.
Okay, but it doesn't
Is it
matter.
because a dog is a predator?
Um,
'Cause I don't think dogs are. Or some dogs are, yeah.
okay, but even in dog, the saliva is just impure.
Yeah,
And then
apart
other
from
predator
this-
animals as well. Okay, no interruption, please.
Sorry.
So now, okay, so these things are impure. If any of these impurities goes in your clothes, we should be removing them. It's not, oh, it's just a tiny little bit, it's okay. No, you should be removing them because you're not supposed to be walking around with with impurities in your body or your clothes. But how much does it have to be? How much impurity needs to be on you until you can't pray salah? It should be an easy question.
It
So,
should-
Imdad?
10.
10. What the
Well, no, 50p, 50p.
Okay, the size of a 50p coin.
Oh, I thought it was 2p.
If the impurity reaches the size of a 50p coin,
50p.
That's what I meant by
To be
10p
fair,
and 50p.
are they all basically just the same size?
No.
yeah.
They
20p.
all though, what do you mean?
Okay. shh. So if the impurity reaches the size of a 50p coin, you cannot. It's wajib to remove it. It's necessary to remove it, and if you don't, your salah will not count.
Zach, to be fair, you're not going to
Yeah.
judge. That's not 50, that's 20. Look at it.
And yes, sir.
What if you're in public and you can't go anywhere to remove it?
I think they have some toilets in
Okay.
public.
If it's not, if you can't go to a public toilet, so all you have to do, you don't have to actually change your clothes. Let's say you've got impurity in your clothes somewhere. Let's say you've got impurity in your underwear. What you do, just take the underwear off, and then just run it under a tap.
What I mean
And
is,
just
what
wash-
if you're poor?
What?
Okay. If you once you pour, then you can ask me the question. I'll help you.
No, but like, I want to still know
He's a really
how
poor.
to...
Oh,
Okay, you can ask me these questions afterwards.
Yeah, it's called in poor. That's
Okay. So what you do, just wherever that impurity is, you just wash it 3 times and rinse it 3 times. So you wash it, rinse it, wash it, rinse it,
Didn't we
wash
say
it,
you have
rinse
to
it.
scrub it? You have to scrub it, then wash
Scrub it
it.
up.
Okay, we're talking about urine here. Just that urine. So that's all that's
Yeah,
necessary.
but you said you have to do that.
No, we just have to rinse it.
Or
on
is
the
that
tap.
only like a place like that you can't like physically like wash?
That's for impurities that you can see, physical impurity that's there. You need to take the color
Oh,
color
you
off.
read that, so what?
Oh, so is that like on the?
Yeah, so this you just run under the taps, and that's how you get rid of it. So if the impurity reaches the size of 50p coins, Arif, can you please pay attention? Can you please pay attention?
Yeah.
So that if the impurity reaches the size of 50p coin, your salah will not count. And imagine if just urinating standing up every day and urine going in your clothes every day, most likely it will reach the size of 50p coin very soon, and you won't even know it, and your whole salah does not count. Any questions on that?
So you know how the 50p coin thing, right?
Yeah.
So you know how there's also the standing up, exemption to the rule, right?
Yeah.
So say if you have to stand up, say if you're in like a public area,
Yeah.
so the only option you have is to like, stand up, but that also guarantees, like both situations, like if you sit down your clothes will be dirty, but if you stand up your clothes will also be dirty. How would that work?
So what you do in that? So let's say you go to
If that makes
public
sense.
toilets and they're very dirty and you need to use them. So what you do is, there, instead of sitting down, because you probably make it even more dirtier by sitting down using it, so you stand up into it. So once you stand up into it, you need to just try and aim it somewhere that it gives less splashes out.
No, I'm not talking about that because like, you know how you said there's always the chance of it going on your clothes, so that there's the risk of that.
Yeah.
So say if something does happen.
Yeah, so this is the best you can do, isn't it? So first you aim it somewhere that try not to, so it doesn't, no splashes come out. And if you think a lot of splashes have gone into your clothes, then as soon as you get home, you have to just change your clothes. That's all you can do, isn't it? So there's no magical solution that just
So
go try your
bang
best.
and the dirt is gone.
Oh, I was gonna say that, man. So I was gonna ask, Like, is that why they say, like, if you don't remember praying, doing wudu, or breaking it, sorry.
It's got nothing to do with wudu and breaking it.
I mean, it doesn't do with breaking it, I guess.
It does have to do with breaking it.
Okay, but what's
What does that have to do
No,
with the
because you know
question?
the drops,
Yeah.
it could be 50p, and you don't know if it is, so with that still count. And you don't know it's on your clothes.
Will your salah still count? Are you saying?
What are you
No,
talking about?
would it, basically, you don't know a 50p size coin urine has dropped on your clothes.
Mm.
What would you do?
Depends on what you're thinking.
I think he's trying to say is how would you judge it?
Yeah, so if you think, okay, there's urine on my clothes, and it's probably quite a bit of amount, then you need to change it. So it depends on what you're thinking at the time. But obviously, if you think it's better to be safe than sorry, isn't it? So if you think, okay, there is a urine on my clothes, I need to change it. Just what if there's a 50p amount? So you always should be on the safe side.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, another thing is, last thing, and we're going to finish. Yasin, head up, please. Last thing, and we're finished. Now let's say it's time to. Let's say it's time for salah in the mosque, in the masjid. So it's Jamaat time, and you really need to go to the toilet. What should you do?
You don't.
You don't go to the toilet.
I usually just hold it until I just run to the toilet after the mosque.
Okay, no, you shouldn't do that. What you should do is
Go.
use the toilet, okay, and then do istinja and istibra normally, and then if you still have time to go to the masjid, then you can do the faraid of wudu and then go to the masjid if you still have time. But if you don't have time, then you don't go to the masjid, because doing istinja and istibra properly is a fard, is obligatory.
Isn't that those questions we did? Was like that guy went to the mosque?
Yeah. So doing istinja and istibra properly is a fard, while to go to the masjid and perform salah is a sunnah mu'akkada. So you don't leave which is fard to do a sunnah mu'akkada. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So in that case, what you should do is you use the toilet, do istinja properly, do istibra properly, and then if you still have time, then you go to the masjid. But obviously you should have planned it beforehand, because you know that salah is going to come up, so I'm going to go toilet 20 minutes beforehand, and then do istinja, istibra properly, and then do wudu and get ready. So you should have done that. So it's your fault for delaying it for so long. But if it does happen, this is what you do. Yes, Arif.
What type of ford would be more important, and wudu type of ford or istinja?
Both. Because if you don't do istinja and istibra properly, and you do wudu straight away, your wudu's going to break, isn't it? Yeah? So that's why you have to leave enough gap that istinja and istibra is done, and then you do wudu.
Why?
Does that make sense? Any questions on this before we finish?
Yeah.